Can you control the violence living inside of you? Now it's time to burn, burn, burn. There's no hiding out from your fate.
Well, welcome to the Bad Bob Show. We got some great stuff here for you today. We're going to be talking about a couple of different things that some of you people out there just want to know about. So we'll just go ahead and talk about it. We got some little about Elon Musk and the Ukrainian job out there that's going on. We also got our beloved president and the F word. It's not what you think. Also, we're also going to talk about a show that's a really kick-ass show. Daddy-daughter trip. Yeah, right here in Arizona, baby. And of course, introducing the one and only Alexander the Great. Welcome, sir.
Hello, everyone. This is Base God 14 coming at you, producer of the Bad Bob Show, among other things. And happy to see everyone tonight. Hope we get some comments. Hopefully, we can start getting some people in the public chiming in on some of the things we're going to talk about. I do want to mention that we basically had our pilot episode, or episode 0, last week. We were trying to get the kinks out of the new channels. All these channels are new, with the exception of the Facebook, which is actually the official Bad Bob Productions Facebook group. So that will get you knowledge about anything going on with Bad Bob Productions, such as, Staycation, the Walk of Karma, any of our other projects that we've been working on. So keep an eye out for that on Facebook. But all the other channels, the YouTube, the Twitter, the Twitch, those are all brand new, exclusively for the Bad Bob Show.
Yes, sir. So what's on tap there with Mr. Elon Musk there? What's happening?
I want to preface this by we talked about Elon last week, Rob, and full disclosure to everyone, I am a stockholder of one of Elon's competitors. I actually did buy Lucid stock. Okay, so full disclosure to everyone, I am biased. Okay, the other part of that we talked about last week was I bought a lot of Twitter stock because I actually believe what Elon Musk was saying, and I'm kind of getting screwed right now. Okay. As of right now, of course, Elon is dragging his feet. He is saying that he does not want to buy Twitter. And I'm a little bit upset about that. So full disclosure, folks, I'm not the biggest fan of Elon Musk right now. Okay. I'm just putting that out there. I just want to be honest with everyone. So I have it's a tweet that I have here. And let's see if I can bring it up. So I'll bring up actually our profile there. Rob, can you see it okay?
Yeah.
And then let's see. Here is actually the man's tweet. Can you see it? Ukraine-Russian peace. Do you see it?
Yeah.
So it says this is Elon Musk's proposal for peace in Ukraine. Okay. So it says this is direct. You can see the check mark. This is from Elon Musk's actual account on Twitter, which once again, he said he was going to buy. Now he doesn't want to buy. Now they're trying to force him to buy it. The stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. So I want to provide some context. But he says Ukraine-Russian peace. Point 1. Redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. For people that don't know, Russia had a sham election in the provinces of Ukraine that they have occupied. Literally, the results said like 98, 99% approval, which that never happens in elections. So we know it's a sham. So Elon Musk's first point is redo the elections, but this time the UN's going to do it, and it'll be fair. Point number 2, Crimea, formerly part of Russia, which is true. Crimea was part of Russia, it says Crimea, formerly part of Russia as a statement, as it has been since 1783 until Khrushchev's mistake. Now, whether Khrushchev made a mistake or not, I think is irrelevant. I don't know why I even put that in there. Historically, yes, it's true that Crimea has been part of Russia since around that time. But that's neither here nor there because it was taken forcibly. That's kind of, in my mind, it's like, again, we're not really going anywhere. Water supply to Crimea assured. Yes, I do know that has been an issue, that the Ukrainians have cut off water to Crimea, but it's their water. They have a right to do that. That's what happens when you're upstream as opposed to downstream. And then the last point is Ukraine remains neutral, which, of course, if Ukraine remains neutral, guess what? That just means that the Russians can invade them anytime they want. So, Rob, I'm curious what your reaction is. You kind of heard my opinions. Let's hear what you got to say on this issue and what Elon Musk had to say.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I saw, I believe it was yesterday, I saw the president of Ukraine and his 2 other partners in the middle of the street sign into NATO. We're now part of NATO. Did you see that part?
Yes, I know that Ukraine formally has requested to join NATO, and I believe the last article I read said there's about 9 countries that have approved that, probably like the Baltics, Poland, some of those countries. But there are 30 members. I just want to point out there are 30 members of NATO. All of them have to approve Ukraine coming in, and that hasn't happened yet.
I have a pretty good idea. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, why not? What, you're just going to tell them no? You're going to tell any country no? I mean, come on. If you want UN protection, hey, they're going to say no. You're just 5 million people or 2 or 3 million people over there that really doesn't mean anything, or that's what I feel about it. I think Ukraine, as dirty as some of them are over there, there's still people, man. Hey, you want to be part of the UN? Be part of the UN. And as far as what Elon Musk is saying, good for him. Jump in there, throw some weight around, throw a few billions around, slap a few heads. Hey, it's just the way it is. Personally, I think Russia needs. There's something wrong with him, Putin. There's something wrong with him. If the guy's dying, or he's, or got some head issues or something, or maybe the women in his life ain't working out very well, or something, whatever the problem is, leave that shit at home, man. And leave everybody else alone. Just that's my thoughts.
And we have to put some context into this because right now the Ukrainians are kicking ass. They are kicking ass. They're taking names.
Yes,
they just took Lehman. And so the Russians are very much falling back on their heels right now. They've completely underperformed. I never would have guessed that the Russians would have been this incompetent. I really never would have guessed that. And most experts did not. Most experts thought this war would be over in about 72 hours. It would be just like the first Gulf War. Remember, like the first Gulf War, the ground assault was about 72 hours till we kicked the Iraqis out of Kuwait. And pretty much this wasn't about kicking them out of anywhere. Most experts thought Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, would fall, within that 72-hour margin. Like they didn't give credit to the Ukrainians at all.
Well,
so it's been pretty shocking just how badly the Russians have performed in this war and how well the Ukrainians have performed.
Well, Russia is not Russia anymore. Russia, I forget how many years it's been now. They're just, I mean, Russia's like Southern California compared to California. It's like
I like that.
It's nothing. It's just this. It's like, hey, dude, what's up? Some surfers down south and surfers up north. I mean, it's just all there is. It's gone. And surfers are cool, but that's a different story. But they're a tiny little country now. Russia's, and the people of Russia are still strong. They love their country. They really do. I mean, they're all good people. Everybody's good, man. There's always bad people, and it's usually the government or governments that think they own your money and everything about you, and they're trying to control our lives, and it's not working out very well for Russia right now. And meanwhile, as we were saying last show, hey, the men are taking a run for it. They're running. They don't even want to fight. They're like, no, not for you, dude. This has. Come on, really? You want us to go over there and wipe out or try to wipe out these Ukrainians? Come on, man. They're fighting for everything right now.
They're fighting for their country. They're fighting for their country's existence,
It's like going up against ninjas from Japan. I mean, just you ain't gonna touch them. They're badass, and they're what they remind me of? They remind me of warriors, native warriors. That's what just ruthless. Don't mess with them. If you want to mess with them, you're gonna get your ass kicked. And they don't want to mess with you. But if you want to cross the line and just stepping into their country is like stepping through their front door, literally their house. And man, I can see it. Everybody knows it. Nobody wants to, for any of this to happen. But hey, man, Putin, I hate to say it, and here's the thing, it sucks. He gets nukes.
Yeah.
And the guys, there's something wrong with him. And, I've in my life, some of the jobs I've had in the past, I've had to deal with psychopaths and sociopaths before, and they'll smile at you just right when they're getting ready to stab you.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of Putin. Putin he'll sit there and stare at you, and he has that big red button in front of him, and he'll just hit it because he's pissed, and it's not, and just to show how strong he is, pressing a red button. Come on, really?
And the paradox is he's actually showing how weak he is.
Yeah,
that he has to do that because
right.
that's to me, that's actually a sign of profound weakness. That shows just how bad the Russian military is, that he's even putting it out there that he might be using nuclear weapons, because that just smacks of desperation to me.
It's funny. I was looking at, I'm a good character of judgment after a lot of years of deal with really bad people. And when I was watching Putin talking his big shindig that he had with all his generals and all his top brass and politicians and the looks in their eyes and first of all, just to paint the picture, here they are in this huge auditorium, and there's Putin up on stage about 50, 60 feet from anybody. Okay,
right.
He's not, nobody's sitting right in front of him. And and everybody,
and he doesn't have like a backdrop like at our political rallies, right? We'll have a backdrop with all these people. Like, I've seen the Trump rallies where there's all these people behind Trump.
Yeah.
Putin doesn't do that. because he doesn't trust anybody behind him. He doesn't.
That's right.
That's a psychological problem. You can tell he does not trust having people behind him, right?
And the look in their eyeballs, the ones looking at him, they weren't happy.
They look dead. If you're talking about the speech I saw, they look like zombies. Like they're just sitting there like,
exactly.
And then every once in a while they go, oh, we're supposed to clap.
And I bet you any money. I bet you they're sitting there with cameras weren't showing. They were showing probably above the screen was probably dudes up there with long range rifles pointing right at them, and probably had a couple of blue dots, little red dots on people's foreheads. And they just weren't showing it on camera, And that's why
do you remember, I think it was actually Airplane 2 when they show the Soviet reporter and he's got a gun to his head as he's doing all the reports of the of the space shuttle crashing or whatever. He's like, that's what it reminds me of.
And that's the whole thing. I'm sitting here watching this thing, and I'm like, are you guys happy about this? I can see you're not too happy. So to me, the look in their eye was, we're going to get you. We're going to get you, dude. We're not with you on this. We're here. We're going to clap because you're telling us to, because you have guns pointing at us, and you probably have signs that say, applaud now or you die. And that's the end of it. And, oh, my God. I mean, what a hell of a life to live like that. I would never. Man, those Russians need to get off their asses and get rid of him. And pull their asses out of that 1940, 50s, 60s era that they're all still living in. Only the rich.
Well, look at their military. If you know anything about military tactics, the tactics they're using are World War II era tactics, if not World War I. You know what I mean?
It's terrible.
It's not modern combined arms warfare as we understand it in the United States. It's something completely different what they're doing right now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
The U.S. I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. We got the shit. We always have. And now that another 20 years went by again, which, I mean, don't age me now, but the 20 years just snap, boom, here it is, right? They damn well they got dudes, probably anybody in the forces, they're young, probably 18 to 25 max, and they're sitting back behind some high resolution monitors with little joysticks, and they just do what they need to do, and everything's just a big game now on a monitor, and it's real life for us to destroy things. And we actually don't even have to put guys on the ground unless we absolutely have to, dig you out of a hole like Saddam Hussein and the rest of those little rats, and just dig them out of the hole and take them out. But if we don't have to dig you out of a hole, we'll shoot something down the hole from 10,000 miles away.
It amazes me, again, being more specific, like the Russian Air Force, like where is it? What is it doing? Like it on paper, they outnumber the Ukrainian Air Force immensely, and this shouldn't even be a thing. But the Ukrainian Air Force is still operating, which I find insane that they're still actually flying sorties. The Ukrainian Air Force, they should have been annihilated on paper, but the Russians are so bad, they can't knock them out. They can't do it.
It's because nobody wants to fight. I bet you any money, when they sound the alarm to go to war, only maybe I'll just throw a number out there. Say there's 100 aircraft, and it's out there on the tarmac, ready to go, spin fueled. They get primers going, everything's getting ready to go, and the alarm goes off, beep, 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 right, and then all of a sudden, like 20 dudes come running out. That's it. And that's it. That's everybody. And they jump inside, they fire them up, and there's 80 aircraft still on the ground because nobody wants to go kill. I can say those words because that's exactly what they're doing. Going out there and trying to wipe out these Ukrainians. And that's what's happening. I can see.
The other thing they say, Rob, is that like those 80 planes, maybe they can't fly because the Russian military is so like they don't have enough spare parts. They're just they. And here's what's really been happening. What I think.
They're old.
But the other thing I think has been happening is the regime is so corrupt that guys are pocketing money. We know that was happening. We know that was happening with the intelligence service because one of the things that happened early in the war is Putin got really mad at the intelligence service, and most of those guys are now under house arrest if they haven't been executed. Okay, and we're talking about the successors of the KGB. What those guys were supposed to do was they were supposed to have all these operations lined up in Ukraine with all these sympathizers, right? I mean, like about a third of the Ukrainians are Russian. Zelensky himself is like half Russian, okay? So it's like they were supposed to have all this like, fifth column type stuff, these partisans ready to go. You know what happened is they just pocketed the money. They didn't do any of that stuff. They just put it in their pocket.
Yeah,
literally, that's what happened.
That's that dirty crap. Yeah.
And these are supposed to be the best. These are like I said, these are like the successors of the KGB, the GSR. These are supposed to be like the best. These are supposed to be the elites, and they just pocketed the money.
Yeah.
Because they thought they were just going to waltz in, and they were like, "What's the point? Why do we need to do all this stuff?" And then Putin found out about it after the fact, and now most of these guys are under house arrest. Like I said, a lot of them have probably been executed. Okay.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, they're not telling us everything. Russia is in bad shape. All they got is old, ancient nukes. Okay. Now they did build some hypersonic missiles. Okay, they don't have a lot of them, but they do have a couple. And I bet you any money that dumb son of a bitch is probably going to try to sneak a couple past us, probably over the North Pole or something, and because it's not too far over. And what an asshole. Come on, man. I get the power trip. Okay, great. But, and we talked about this last time. You would be stronger uniting the world than killing everybody. We're threatening to wipe out the world, half the world.
Yeah.
Because damn well it's going to happen. He fires off a couple of nukes. I don't care how many he shoots at us. His entire country is vaporized, gone.
Yeah.
And gone. And I feel sorry for the people. And hopefully, our Star Wars program that they said they got rid of, now it's called the Space Force. We'll see how good they are. We'll see how good Trump hooked that up. Let's Biden.
Well, I hope we don't get to see how good they are, Rob. I hope that does not happen.
No, I know what you're saying, but you know what? I hope that nothing does happen because nobody wants it to happen. But on the other hand, if the asshole's going to hit some buttons and start shooting some shit at us, you know what? I'll take him out. And I want to see it. I'm going to watch it. And, hopefully they do it at nighttime. We can see it at night over the globe. So, we can see it at nighttime. We just sit back with popcorn and watch it happen. I mean, just Russia, not Russia, but Putin is out of control. And hopefully we can shut him down fast enough before he can hurt us and everybody else in the damn world. We don't need his crap. And the people need to get rid of him. But speaking of,
I just want to mention what I'm really hoping for, though, because of this mobilization, I'm hoping that there's going to be a mutiny in the military, and that Russia has a history of this. Okay, Russia has a history of this.
Right.
This is what happened to the Tsar. Okay,
exactly
they overextended themselves in World War I. There was a mutiny, and that led to a revolution. There was a mutiny in the ranks, and a lot of these conscripts I'm hearing are actually political dissidents. And that could be the checkmate that Putin has done to himself, because he's trying to send his political dissidents to the front to die. Do you think they want to fight? You think they're going to fight? If anything, they're going to surrender. Okay, they're just going to surrender. But you know what? These guys, if they're giving them weapons, right, which you assume they are, I don't know, it could be enemy of the gate stuff where it's every other man gets a gun. I don't know. The Russians are known to do shit like that. But the thing is, if these guys are being armed, hey, maybe we'll have a mutiny. Maybe we'll have a revolution. That's my hope, that the Russians will take care of this themselves. You know what I mean? And NATO won't have to be involved. We won't have to be involved. And then they'll just leave Ukraine alone, you know, and then they'll have their own problems to deal with.
I think exactly what you just said is true. And I believe if they put their hands up and say, give up, okay, whatever. And by the way, hit them in the back door around the corner, that'll knock them out. I mean, and that's the end of it, and hopefully that works. And like I said, he's so distant from his own people and his own, we'll just call it his party, that you can't even talk. You can't get close to him to even talk to him. I think everybody's scared of him. They won't even get close to him because he'll just kill you, or have you whacked right there on the spot. You go, hey, dude, I didn't like the way you said, hey, get out of the office. Kill him. It's just not. But
well, speaking of being out of touch, yes. I don't think it's just Russian politicians that sometimes are out of touch with reality and out of touch with their people, out of step with the rest of the world. We have this story about Biden. I'm going to share with you. Okay?
Yeah, what the hell is that all about? With the Biden F word?
Yeah, let me share this story that I found on my my MSN news feed of all things.
Wow!
And I thought it was a really interesting article, and it's talking about Joe Biden's F word problem. Can you see the article? Okay, Rob?
Yeah, I can see it.
This is from the Washington Examiner. And it says, it's an editorial, and it was dated, it's dated today. It says, Joe Biden's F word problem. It says, literally, President Joe Biden said at a Democratic fundraiser last week, quote, there's a case being made around the world, not just here, because democracy and autocracy. That wasn't even a sentence, but you get the idea. He continued, quote, you just saw what's happened in Italy in that election. You're seeing what's happening around the world. The reason I bother to say that is you can't be sanguine about what's happening here either. In insinuating that democracy is under attack because of a healthy Democratic election result, Biden was not just spouting his typical divisive rhetoric. He was leveling a direct insult at a foreign ally, Giorgia Meloni, who, Rob, you and I, we talked about that election last week, the Italian election. The conservative Italian politician Meloni, having worked through the democratic process and won an impressive majority in last month's election, will be Italy's next prime minister. Biden wasted no time weakening America's standing in the world to score a few cheap political points when he insulted her before meeting her. This is not leadership, in my opinion. We talked about this election on our last show. We talked about the election of the new Italian prime minister. And the F word in question is fascist. We're talking about fascists. And that's what Biden seems to have a problem with. I think the entire Democratic Party has a problem with it personally. They seem to use that word for anybody who disagrees with them. And in this case, Biden is insulting the new leader of one of our closest allies. Italy is one of our closest allies. They are a member of NATO. They have stood with us ever since World War II, essentially. And he's insulting their new leader right off the bat, saying she's a fascist. And that's, in my opinion, I agree with this person. That's his F word problem. What do you think, Rob?
Well, he's actually, There's so many things I could say right now. I have to be very careful what I say, because if he wasn't in so much trouble with so many different things, he actually might be kind of a funny dude to hang out with. Have a few beers, just somebody cool, So
like somebody just says crazy stuff, right? Somebody just says crazy stuff anytime you're at the bar.
He's like an old man. We're having a good time talking, laughing, joking. He brings up old stories from Stratton, New Jersey, and whatever. It's cool. And it's just he's a good bullshitter. It's just the way it is. Well,
that's all he's done, Rob. He's been a career politician his entire life. He has never done anything.
Years. Yeah, he's never done nothing. He's tried. He says he's made friends with every foreign politician out there, and it's like, okay, no, you didn't. You just bullshitted with him one day, and you talked about a few things, and that was the end of it. And then you hung up the phone and you moved on. I mean, that's all you ever done. But as far as him talking shit about that Italian president,
prime minister, the prime minister elect, I guess is the way we should refer to her. She's not the prime minister yet, but she will be. She won the elections. We're talking about a democratic fair election. Okay, we know the history of Italy. Just for a second, of real fascists. When Mussolini took over in Italy, what he did was he got a bunch of guys together called the Black Shirts. He went down to Rome and he hijacked the government. Okay, that's what Mussolini actually did. That's history. You can read it. It's a fact. That's not what this woman did. Okay, this woman was democratically elected. Now it is true Hitler was also democratically elected. I'm not trying to forget that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But this woman has not even gotten office yet, okay? It's not the time to start insulting her right off the bat, a country that's one of our closest allies, a NATO member. You know what I mean? I just think it's so unpresidential, and I don't understand why the mainstream media doesn't call out this guy. Because if Trump said this, he would be hung in public.
Oh, yeah, it would be over. Yeah. All I know is this. All I know is that President Biden, we'll just call him that for right now. And I'm not trying to be insultive. I have respect for the title, sometimes not the man in the title. And that's the way it is in this case. But when he leaves office, and hopefully soon, we need to get some people in there. Hopefully Trump gets back in. Everybody's hoping on that, of course.
I will say this: I'm leaning more towards the governor of Florida.
DeSantis is pretty awesome.
So
yeah, he's awesome. I mean, that's why he said whoever gets into office, it can be Trump. For some reason, I don't know if you know this, but I kind of caught on to this here last week or so. Everybody keeps asking Trump, when are you getting back in? Or when are you going to run again? And just recently, he keeps saying the same thing. He's saying, legally, I can't. And I thought to myself, well, who the hell is stopping you? And what is that?
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's happened.
I haven't heard that one.
Just in the last week, I saw 2 interviews. He says, legally, one was with Hannity. And he says, legally, I can't. You see if you can find it. If you can't find it, that's fine. But legally, I can't say that I'm going to run. And I thought to myself, what's going on here? What's this game happening? Who's coming after you and is waiting for you to say those words? Because as soon as you say those words, it sounds like you're going to be attacked. for something. Somebody's going after you for something. I have no idea what that's all about. But I've been watching it, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I'll figure it out. Or he's going to say something about it here shortly. Because we only got, how many more days? 30, 40 days left for the elections coming up.
The midterms?
Midterms at November.
The midterm elections?
What is it? November what? Is it? What's the date on that?
For the midterm elections?
Yeah.
Let me just look it up real quick. I don't want to give bad information.
Yeah, I don't know, 3rd, 6th, or 9th, or I can't remember.
Election day, 2022, Tuesday, November 8th.
Oh, it's the 8th. Okay, so
and it's all, and I know it's always on a Tuesday, but November 8th is when we'll do the midterms.
All right, so November 8th. Everybody out there, just so you know, if you're listening to this show, which I hope you are, November 8th, get out there, vote Republican if you can, please. For me, I don't know about Mr. Alexander the Great here. Base God 14. Me personally, it just happens to be a Republican. It could have been anybody for any group of individuals. We just need to get rid of who's in there right now because
I will say this. Not all Democrats are created equal. I know a lot of people. We live in Arizona, and a lot of people right now are either loving or hating Kristen Sinema because Sinema has actually stood up and she has said that she is not going to take away the filibuster. And because of her, and I think there's one other senator, I can't remember his name.
She's not being taken away the filibuster.
She will not do it. She will not do it. And there's one other Democratic senator, I don't have the name on the top of my head, who also is with her on that. Because if it wasn't for the two of them, the Democrats would eliminate the filibuster and they would fundamentally change the way our system works because the filibuster has been around forever. Okay. And it is a way for the party that is not in power. And quite frankly, it's a way even for individual senators to have a way to put the brakes on our government. That's what I like about the filibuster. Okay. That's the idea of it. Plus the idea that the senators are representatives of the state, not representatives of the people, by the way. They're representatives of the state. They have to do what's in the best interest of the state. Your representatives do what's in the best interest of their district, of the people, right? It's the House of Representatives. That's what their job is. But the senators represent the states. And so I think what Sinema has done, to her credit, because I am not a big Sinema fan, but I will give her credit when credit is due. Yeah. And I think what she has done is taken a hard line and said, hey, we could be on the other end of this in the next election cycle, right? I think she's being pragmatic. And I don't want to be on that end. You know what I mean? Because if the Senate were to flip, guess what happens? Then the Republicans would be able to lock the Democrats out of everything, right? It works both ways. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think she's just pragmatic enough to understand that. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I'm not going to give credit to Mark Kelly. I'm not going to give credit to him at all. Okay. He is a rubber stamp for President Biden, as far as I'm concerned. You might think that's a good thing. You might think that's a bad thing, but that's what he is. At least Sinema has a brain in her head and can be independent. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with exactly what you're saying. I mean, I used to be a Democrat. John F. Kennedy was and Reagan. One was a Democrat, one was a Republican.
Well, Reagan was a Democrat. He was when he was the president of SAG, he was a Democrat. Right. By the way, Reagan was the only president that was the president of a major union, which I think is interesting because he was president of SAG. So he's the only president that was a president of a major union.
It was a different time back then. Love, peace, happiness. It was cool. Everybody was, it was as they say, it was the thing back then. It was, everybody was cool. It was groovy. It was, nobody wanted to hurt nobody.
Groovy.
Yeah, well, I know, yeah, is that crazy? And it was gnarly and all kinds of big words, But it was a different life back then, and people, they used to listen to the people really well, at least to a certain degree. People wanted something, they did it. They wanted to fly to the moon, they did it. They wanted to do something hard, like President Kennedy said, the people did it. And man and woman, it didn't matter. It was a little different back then. The woman stayed home and took care of the kids and did all the family stuff at the house while the man went to work. But then the man was also making twice as much compared to what he is now. So that's a whole different life back then. But now, I'm telling you right now, these politicians, they got a rude awakening coming real soon. They've woken up. The giant is awake now. We're all staring at them. I don't even think they even care. I think not all the Democrats and not all the Republicans. I think they've been in power for so long that they feel that they're untouchable.
Yeah, you know what I would like to see, honestly, is I would love to see the Libertarians do something. I'd even like to see the Greens to do something just to screw things up a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like it would be so good if we had a viable third party, a viable alternative. So it wasn't always just one side against the other.
That's right.
Where we could actually have real arguments. Again, like we're talking about this. The reason Biden calls people fascists, the reason the left calls people fascists is to stop the argument. You're a fascist. You're scum. I don't have to talk to you. It devalues your position. That's why this is such a bad thing. And it's so bad that our president does this. Not only to our foreign allies, he does it to us, to American citizens. He'll call us fascists, right? This is the man who said, what did he say about Antifa? Antifa's just a political movement.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a terrorist organization that is trying to violently overthrow the government. I had riots a mile from my house. I never thought that would happen in my lifetime. I live in a good area, folks. I had a riot a mile from my house when my kids were here.
That's right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Okay?
What did George Washington say about parties? He said something pretty.
He didn't have anything good to say about him. I can say that.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact quote, but he did not. Washington was not in favor of political. He thought they were very divisive. He did not like political parties.
That's right. He said that the day that the people develop their own parties against each other will be the end of government as we know it. And I believe that's not the exact wordage, but I know it's pretty close. And so here we are with Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, and what's the neutral one right down the middle? It's the that never sees the day of light. Okay. See, it's almost gone completely.
Here's the quote from Washington on political parties. He says, however, political parties may now and then answer popular ends. They are likely in the course of time and things to become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterwards the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. Those are good words. That's prophetic, isn't it? He was a prophet.
That's right.
The prophet Washington. Like those are good words.
That's what I mean. So
true, right? He's right on the money, isn't he?
Right.
They have used their power to usurp the people, right? To usurp the power of the people.
Did you know when people talk about, and this has all enlightened me lately, here in the last year, a lot of the stuff that people talk about, how do I say this? They really don't, comments like that from Washington, people don't even know that. They have no clue. It doesn't even exist. People don't want you to know what he said because it makes you think about it. Makes you think, hey, wait a minute. If we never had these parties to begin with, or this type of individuals on different sides, we wouldn't have half the problems we even got at all. But now the war is the big one. Then dividing the people, that's the next one. It just goes on and on and on. Before you know it, we don't even know who the hell we are anymore. And we're all sitting here fighting and throwing words at each other that really don't mean nothing. It's like they wanted us to go at each other.
Divide and conquer. That goes all the way back to Julius Caesar. It's a battle tactic. Caesar understood that there were too many Gauls, right? There were too many Gauls in France. He couldn't take them head on. So what he did was he took them apart piecemeal, a bit at a time, right? And politicians, they always say politics is war by other means. It's divide and conquer. That's what our politicians do. They divide the people with all this. You're a fascist. Going right back to this use of the F word. You're a fascist, Rob. You're a fascist.
Thank you.
And by saying that, half the population won't listen to you.
That's right.
Right? Just because I called you that.
Yeah, it's coming to an end. Something's going to happen here. And either I'm going to do something about it, or somebody else is going to do it. One day, it's just I'm going to have some time to myself, and I'm just going to tear this up. One day I'm going to be standing. They're going to introduce me on stage or something, and no one's going to know who I am. And I'm just going to start talking about things that people never heard.
Well, if we do our job with this show, people will know who you are.
If
we do our job, hopefully, if we can get this show going, people will at least know who you are.
Even though we just started the show and we're just getting our feet warm a little bit and dipping our toe in the water, and I'm telling you, it's some of the people out there are going to be real surprised here real soon, because once I get my shit together, and it goes for anybody. It's on, man. It's on. And right now, we're just testing the waters, see what's going on out there, and talk about some cool stuff. Speaking of cool stuff, the other side of our Bad Bob Productions, we have our own movie business that we're moving on, and which is doing pretty good. And just recently, if I'm not mistaken, you were at a little show there this last week here with his last name is, how do you say his last name?
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider. Daddy-Daughter Trip, the actual movie itself. And Rob Schneider has moved here from California, I believe California, right?
Correct.
Here in Arizona. And we're going to be meeting him, I guarantee it. If I have something to do with it, I will be hanging out with him one day.
I was that close, Rob. I was that close.
That's okay. That's closer than I've gotten. And we're going to definitely meet that guy. And we're going to have a good time. And we're going to talk and see what's going on, pick his brain a little bit. And like I said, what was that interview that I was telling you he did with, who was that? We were talking about it last week. Who was that? I tell you.
Oh, was it Glenn Beck? You told me that he was. He did one with Glenn Beck because I didn't see that one.
It was great. It was a great little talk they had with each other. It was really cool. It was cool, but it had some emotional issues that were being talked about that were really, really cool stuff. But I want to see what he's doing out here. When's his next? Did he say when the next get together is with him?
Well, he did multiple meet and greets. So I want to talk about the event that I went to just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we haven't even had a chance to talk about it, like even outside of the show. And I have some pictures to show you. So I wanted to mention first that the reason I even found out about this was because I took my kids to go see DC Super Pets.
Right.
And we got there early because I never want to miss the trailers. And I saw the trailers, and I saw this trailer for this movie. And right away, they were talking about Arizona. And I was all like, why are they talking about places in Arizona? And then suddenly, as the trailer went on, they said this was filmed in Arizona, and it's a Harkins exclusive. Rob, this is something I wanted to do. I don't think I've ever told you, but one of the things I wanted to do was make a film here in Arizona, present it to the Harkins family, and have an exclusive engagement in Arizona. Rob Schneider is doing my plan. He's doing exactly what I wanted to do. So, because, local hero makes big. That's the idea, right? And the Harkins Theater is very much advocates of the local scene. You and I have been to the Chandler Film Festival. Harkins, remember? That was at the Harkins at the Chandler Mall.
Yeah.
Remember that? So Harkins supports the local film community very much. And so that was one of my dreams, was to make a film in Arizona and then have an exclusive run with Harkins. And Rob Schneider did it. So my model apparently is something that can be done. Somebody else has done it. So I was really excited about this when I heard about it. And then I found out that the actual world premiere was at the Scottsdale Fashion Square just this last Tuesday. So I got a ticket, one of the last tickets for one of the screenings, and I went. And I'm so glad that I did. So I wanted to show some pictures. This is a picture of the setup of the red carpet. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So you can see there that they did have the red carpet set up. Actually, you can kind of see in the foreground, that's one of the local 12 news reporters there. She was doing interviews. And I love this. Do you see this this really cool sign on the side that goes like all the way up almost to the roof?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's digital. So they can put anything they want on that. And I thought it was really cool. And you can see it does say daddy-daughter trip. So I'm like, dude, we have got to do this for one of our films, Rob. We have got to make a deal with Harkins, and we have got to have a premiere at Harkins with one of our films. You know what I mean? Like, this looks so cool. So they did a great job with the red carpet. I did manage to snag a picture of Rob and his daughter. As you can see, his daughter, actually, she was the main star in the movie. This is a family-friendly film, by the way. I want people to understand that this is very much a family-friendly film.
Yeah,
probably geared more towards like kids, maybe, I would say maybe like 12 and under, around that kind of age. So it's very much a family film. And his real life daughter, who's in this picture, she's in the movie. She's the star of the movie. So, like I said, I got pretty close.
Awesome.
It's hard to tell because my phone kind of stinks, but I got really close to them, So, but I took this picture, and then they had 3 different screening rooms, Rob. So the main screening room where Rob and the cast and crew were at, they had this really nice facade. I don't know if you can see it very well because there's a lot of glare, but it actually covers the entrance to the theater. Do you see it? Like it says Daddy-Daughter Trip, and it covers the whole facade. I was just like, wouldn't that be cool if we could do this? I mean, like, isn't that really awesome? I mean, I would love to do something like this for one of our premieres. And I've never been to a premiere like this big, this world premiere at such a nice theater where they're really making a big deal, and clearly some money's being put into it. At one point, I was a little bit concerned and scared because I heard, okay, so I'm not in that theater. I knew that. I was like, I'm in a different theater. I'm like, oh, man. Well, at least I got to see Rob Schneider, and I did make some industry connections. I told you off the air, I found a guy who does distribution. I talked to the location manager for this film. I talked to an old connection of mine, a local connection who's a big local name. So I made a reconnection, which was really good. But I was a little bit bummed. I was like, I guess, Rob's going to be doing his thing with the beautiful people, and I'm going to be with the plebeians. You know what I mean? So, all right. Well, that's not what happened. Rob Schneider personally introduced the film in my screening room. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So you can see the picture here. He came into the theater, and what they had done was they staggered the times. So there were 3 different screening rooms, but they staggered the times so Rob could come to each screening room and introduce the film. Isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool.
So that's what this picture is here. That's him introducing the film. I was very appreciative of that. Huge kudos to Rob Schneider. So awesome that he did that. And then as I was leaving, I got this picture as Rob and his daughter were leaving. They were getting another interview as they were taking off. You can even see Rob has a bag, like a backpack. And he's just taking off like a regular dude with his daughter who just premiered. Just had her film premiere in his movie. So I'm very into that. Awesome. I thought that was really cool. Obviously, it's very family centered. So it was a really great experience. There's too few of those experiences in Arizona. Usually you and I have to go to California to find something like that. And quite frankly, it's not as necessary. I've been to premieres in California that were not this good. I can say that. I've been to premieres in California that were not this good. They really did it right. Harkins did a really fantastic job. And I'm just hoping we can do that, Rob, that we can actually have a film. We can debut it here in Arizona, made in Arizona, and, make a deal with Harkins. That's my hope.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'd still like to, at least go and see if I can get close to him and throw a few words at him. Is there anything coming up soon or what?
Well, he did some personal appearances this last weekend. So the movie officially came out on Friday. I went to the premiere on Tuesday. It officially came out last Friday, but only at Harkins.
Yeah.
And then my understanding is it's supposed to have a wider release later. But he did do some appearances at a bunch of the Harkins theaters, both on Friday and Saturday. He also did a book signing at Butterfly Wonderland. That's one thing that was cool. The theater that I was in, everybody got free tickets to Butterfly Wonderland, which was also cool. I also want to mention I got a free popcorn and I got a free drink. So Harkins really did it nice, They really made it you feel like you're at a premiere and this is special. So I got comped popcorn, I got a comp drink. I don't know if he's going to be doing additional meet and greets later. But we'll see, but the cool thing is he lives here in Arizona now. So, hey, I'm hoping like maybe the next local film festival we go to, maybe he'll just show up. Who knows,
Yeah. All right, cool. So anything else? What else you got going on out there?
I'm kind of watching the weather. The weather's pretty choppy where I'm at. I'm in the Scottsdale area, and I can say that it looks like it's dying down a little bit. But obviously, there's been some major damage in Florida. There's been major damage in Puerto Rico. That's where Biden is right now. And it's no joke out here in Arizona either. Our monsoon season can as you know, I've had roof damage from the monsoon, so it can be no joke out here too.
Matter of fact, I'm getting some messages right here that it is looking like it's getting ready to rain. And big winds on its way right now as we speak. So I gotta take care of some stuff and get some stuff out of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Before it leaves and goes to space.
Northern Arizona, last I checked, got pounded pretty hard today.
Really?
They've got power outages and things like that in Northern Arizona.
How close is what's the name of that place? Like down here we have Anthem. How close is the Anthem to you?
Oh, that's far. Anthem's very far from me. Yeah, that's almost going to Flagstaff. Anthem is like that's like past Deer Valley. That's way north.
It is? Yeah, they got pounded really bad.
Yeah, that's the edge of town.
Bad.
Yeah, that's kind of like the most northern part of the Phoenix metro area is the way I describe it. That's like when you're like, you remember when we went to like Cottonwood, we went to Rob and I went to an event in Cottonwood. You have to go through Anthem, and then you're kind of like in the middle of nowhere. Then you're in the hills, you know, you're in the mountains, you know.
Okay. Right.
Anthem's like the last place before you leave town, you know.
Okay. So they got hit pretty hard. We're about to get hit down here on the south side. So we're below you an hour and in 20 minutes. So
you stay safe. Everybody's got to stay safe.
Yeah,
out there,
I'm just looking at it. It's okay. I mean, I got to go out and I got to get some dinner and stuff for the family here. But my truck. Anybody out there, working on trucks, knuckle busters, man, I got like 4 knuckles that just smashed. Yeah, that's okay. Saving a lot of money. Drawing a lot of blood, but I'm saving a lot of money. Oh, it's brutal. But things are getting better. Things are getting better. Things are getting a lot better. The shows, I love the show. The show's doing great. And I hope all you guys out there love what we're doing. And we got some more to come. We got a lot of new stuff that's going to be happening. Just so you guys know. We love putting the information out there, and hopefully you guys are digging it. If there's anything that you guys want to talk about, let us know. We'll start throwing up some emails so you guys can contact us separately, and we can maybe get you on the show if you want to get on and talk. And if not, throw some stuff at us, and we'll be more than happy to talk about it. Anyways, and
also, let's make sure people know they can always comment after the show, even when the show's not live. We only do the show once a week, so if folks want to comment after the show, please do. Please comment. It doesn't have to be a live comment. We will definitely try to respond to all your comments. And who knows, maybe you can give us ideas for next week's show, that kind of a thing. Or maybe you want us to explore something. Maybe you want to know more about George Washington. I don't know what it is, but you know what I mean? We can research it. We can put it together. We can talk about it. And definitely, I think we would definitely like to talk more about independent film, the Arizona film community, such as it is, and all that kind of stuff. I think we would like to talk definitely more about that. So if you're involved in the industry, you want to come and you want to talk about film, maybe you were at that premiere that I was at, and you want to talk about it. Maybe your experience was different. Maybe it wasn't good. I don't know, but we're open to all that stuff.
That's right. Bring it on. Whatever you got, we'll talk about it. We're cool. We're down to earth. You can't hurt our feelings. You can't hurt us. That's okay.
Just don't call me the F word. And it's not what you think. So just don't call me the F word.
All right, guys. Well, Eric, I'm pretty tapped out right here. I got to take care of a few things, but it's been fun, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. I will go ahead and I will cue the music, and we will fade out.
Nice.